first time saying Shabbat Shalom. You did a good job there. We're excited to be celebrating this morning. It is Shabbat. It is our service for Saturday mornings. We do it very close to how we've done it for the last roughly 2,000 years. A few changes, and some of it's in English, which we used to not do 2,000 years ago. But glad to be celebrating with you here and with Drew today. He did a beautiful job last night. Some of our B'nai Mitzvah, some who become Bar Mitzvah or Bat Mitzvah here, are singers and dancers and actors, and they feel so comfortable on a stage. They get up here and they built their heart out. And Drew comes up here and does such an incredible, beautiful job. You're not an actor, right? No, like that's not his area of comfort. And yet he came up onto the bima outside last night and helped lead our service in a really beautiful way. We look forward to hearing more from him today in our prayers, in our Torah service, and teaching us a little bit in English. We're glad that you're here with us. You should have a few books in front of you. There's a blue Siddur. This is the prayer book for this morning. It goes from right to left. We open it to page 140. Our first roughly half hour of prayers are really just to get maybe 20 minutes, really to get us ready. Going to help wake us up. The first words that we say together are words you're supposed to say upon waking up in the morning. Then we're going to stand up in a few minutes, and Drew's going to lead us in prayers there. And they're thanking God for just the regular things in our life, just the fact that we're here and we're present, the fact that we have the ability to join together is a blessing. We're going to learn a little bit together, and we'll try to work our way up so we're ready to approach divinity, so we're ready to actually be in conversation with holiness and with eternity. But we begin slowly, and also I'll be calling pages also from a different Siddur as well, one that's not in front of you unless you brought it from home, because online this is an option. If you're on our website and you click on the link that says prayer book for Saturday morning, I'll try to call those page numbers when I remember. So those at home can follow along with us. We're glad that you're joining us from home if you're able, and from here if you're comfortable. We're on our blue Siddur on page 140. Page 140, which online, if you're joining us online, is on page 101 for the words of Ma Tovu. How nice it is to be able to be together, to be a community, even though we come from different places, and we can still form a community together. Ma Tovu. If you're able, please rise. We invite Drew up here now to lead us in the morning blessings on page 146. If you're joining us online, page 103, we thank God for the simple things in our life, like having the ability to be aware of the world around us, for the capacity to understand ourselves and our world. We'll say amen to each of these blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan l'chivina v'lavhi ben yom u'ben laila. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzalmo. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani ben horim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani Yisrael. Amen. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach Ivrim. Amen. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Amen. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Amen. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefuvim. Amen. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam, Rakahar Ta'ahamayim.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Shesali kol tzarki.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher heichi mitzadei gaber.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Ater Yisrael b'gvura.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Ater Yisrael b'tifaret.
Amen.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hanotein la'ya'ef kala.
Amen.
You may be seated. We show gratitude each morning that we can learn something new. So just take a moment before we say this. Let's go say the prayer. Page 152. If you're joining us online, page 107. We'll say this prayer that we keep learning new things in our lives. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah v'ha'arev na Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Toratcha b'finu u'b'fi amcha beit Yisrael v'nihiyeh anachnu v'tze'etza'ei amcha beit Yisrael kulanu yodei shemecha Lomdei Toratecha Lishma, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hamlamed Torah le'amot Yisrael, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Asher bacharbanu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai, Notein HaTorah. Every week we have a group of people come together to learn before services and to share some of their wisdom with us. Reb Jeff, are you the teacher today? As he's coming up, the next 5 seconds, think of something that you've learned this week. You must have learned something. You have to share with me. Think of something you learned this week. Most of you are not in school right now. We still learn things that are interesting during the week. Something new that helps us grow. So we invite Jeff to share a little bit of what they learned this morning with us.
So I'm gonna make something up. You'll learn. So what we actually did is we're studying Pirkei Avot, which is the learnings of our fathers, and it is divided up into 6 chapters, and each week we read 1 verse. This is composed of, it's about the size of your Siddur, 3 of them. So we get 2 chapters two chapters made up of verses in each book. And so we have 3 books total. This week, after a year or so, we finished book 2. So we're now officially 2/3 of the way through. Just started book 3. Interestingly enough, the way it is structured is that there is a prologue and an epilogue at the end of each book. So you're supposed to read the prologue before, sort of like a blessing for allow us to be able to do this, and there's a blessing at the end. Thank you for someone along the line of marking that you ended that book. So for us, it was interesting because I did not bring my book 3 with me today, so I wasn't prepared to read chapter 5, and so someone else handed me their book, and I start reading the prologue, and then I flip to Mishnah 1, what I thought was book 5, and start reading it. It's completely different. I'm lost from everybody else because I'm still in book 2, but we did prove out that the prologue is the same in every book. Because even though I was reading the prologue in book 2, everyone else was in book 3, and I was reading along perfectly well. So it's very interesting. I guess for me, it's what we discussed about the learning of actually it was in the contents of it, but this was sort of interesting because this is sort of the structure and the way Pirkei Avot is structured into, we've now spent over a year reading 2 chapters. Just going through it piece by piece by piece. Each verse has a whole series of pages of commentary on it. And we go through it and we're adding our own flavor, our own stories to it. And so it's been a great experience for me to learn from these fine gentlemen and to be able to have the opportunity to study week to week with them.
Thank you.
It's pretty good for on the fly.
That's, yeah, and if you want to hear how book 3 starts, you can come back next week. But we go slowly in our learning. We learn best when we learn what's called in chavruta, which means with a partner. Studying by yourself, you only gain so much. Studying with somebody else, you sharpen each other, you duel a little bit to see, I never thought of it that way. What about this? And you build off of each other. It becomes really beautiful to study that way. So there's about 5, 6 people who learn on Saturday mornings together. And part of what they do is they realize that they learn a lot from each other, they sharpen each other. And so I hope that over the course of today, over the course of our week, over the course of our lives, we find chavruta, people who we don't agree with all the time, who we can disagree with and therefore learn from each other. I got into a beautiful debate this week over a minor political issue with one of our, oh, he's back.
I'm gonna add one more thing.
Okay,
So we talk about this, but we never add this every week, which is, this is completely open. We're not the Chavruta is not a closed study group. And if anyone ever wanted to show up an hour before services and study with us, even if you want to go home afterwards, like sometimes some of the people do, they'll show up for the study, but they're not comfortable being in a large group yet. They'll go home and do the rest of the service on Zoom, which is totally fine. But the group is open to the community. It's open to anybody who wants to show up. It just happens to be, I think originally there were 2, and then there were 4, and now we're at 5 or 6. 6.
Yeah.
Some weeks 5, some weeks 6, depends who shows up.
so anybody can come an hour before service.
Anybody can come.
And you'll see if they really study or if they're really on tangents most of the time, telling stories and things. But it was fun this week to spar a little bit online in an email with a congregant over this minor political issue. And both of us coming to the agreement of, thank you for teaching me something and showing me a perspective I hadn't thought of before. We weren't angry with each other, we're allowed to disagree with each other and grow from that. And there's a beautiful thing in that. So on page 154, or online, page 111, it was called Kaddish D'Rabbanan, which is, Kaddish means holiness, D'Rabbanan of our teachers, as if to say, when we learn something new, we should say thank you to God and thank you to our teacher for teaching us something nice, for showing us that there's still more to learn every day. Page 154, if you want to say these Aramaic words with me, you're welcome to do so. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divara kirute be'amlich malchute V'chaye chon u'v'yom echon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'agala u'v'zman karib imru amen Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam u'lamei omaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitpadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei v'kudusha b'richku Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechamata, ve'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Al Yisrael ve'al Rabbanan ve'al Talmidehon, ve'al kol Talmidehon, ve'al kol man de'askin be'oraita, di ve'atra hadein v'di v'chol atar v'atar, yehei lahon u'lachon shlama rabba, china ve'chista v'rachamim, V'chayin arichin uzoner richei, uforkanan min kodom avruhon v'yishemaya v'ara v'imru amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayin tovim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mirmav, hu brachamav ya'asei shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Those words in summary say, thank you for giving us teachers who can keep teaching us. And thank you for the teachers of those teachers who taught them and the teachers of those teachers who taught them. And thank you to my students who will someday learn from me what my teachers taught. There's a saying, I think, that goes like, when you're ready, your teacher appears. But when you're really ready, your teacher disappears. I hope that we still have the ability to keep learning things and to keep teaching others. We flip forward to page 180. Those of you who are able to do so, please rise. We're online on page 122, but here we're on page 180 as we begin the next section of our service with Suke de Zimra, just a blessing to divinity, thanking God for the idea of existence. Page 180.
Baruch she'amah v'haya ha'olam, Baruch Oseh Bereshit, Baruch Omer ve'oseh, Baruch Ozer Mekayim. יחידי העולמים מלך משובח ומפארני על שמו הגדול ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מהולל ותשבחו.
Amen. You may be seated. We turn forward out of page 194. If you're online, it's page 141, but here it's page 194 for the last psalm. Hallelujah. Page 212. Online, page 143. It's in the middle of the page. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where it is. In that second paragraph, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down. Just that one line, Ozi B'Zimrat Yah Vayezinu Yeshua, becomes a chant. And so you'll hear this chant. If you're able to join in with us, you can join in with us. The words are taken from the book of Exodus, from the book of Shabbat, as we're crossing the Sea of Reeds. It's the miracle of the parting of the waters. And we just have to sing a song of gratitude. Words coming out of our mouth isn't enough. Doing a dance isn't enough. We have to sing. We have to find full joy in that moment. I can only imagine seeing a miracle unfold before me, how I would react. And here we are, 3,200 years later, singing these words still. Ozi v'zimrat yah v'yehi li v'shua.
Ozi v'zimrat yah v'yehi li v'shua. Ozi v'zimrat yah v'yehi li v'shua.
Turn forward to page 218. Online, page 147. But in this room, 218, Shochein Ad.
Befi Yesharim
Those who are able, please rise. We invite up grandmothers Evelyn and Pamela to come and open up the ark for us. We'll open up the ark and we'll see inside. We'll see the Torahs that are in there. The focus of our whole room. If you went to any room, you go, what are we looking at when you walk into it? What's the focal point? And for us, it's this mystical closet that inside holds our ancient scriptures, handwritten copies of our Torah text. We invite Drew to lead us in the words of Baruch, the holy words that begin our shacharit, our morning official service.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Yotzei Or U'Borei Choshen Oseh Shalom U'Borei Hakol.
Now, once again, may be seated.
On 226, the beginning of the last paragraph.
We turn to page 228. Online is page 151. It's an acrostic poem. Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet. Each line starts with another letter. Written probably about 1,500 years ago. Thanking God for creating the world. For the fact that we're here, this very odd idea of existence. We thank God for the fact that there is goodness in the world, there is light in the world, and we are in this world. Page 228. El Adon. On page 234.
כולם אהובים, כולם ברורים, כולם גברים וכולם עושים באימה וביראה רצון כולם, וכולם פותחים את פיהם בקדושה, ובתורה בשירה ובזמרה, ומברכים ומשבחים, ומפארים ומעריצים, ומקדישים וממליכים את שם האל המלך הגדול, הגיבור הנורא קדוש הוא, וכולם מקבלים עליהם המלכות שמיים זה מזה, ונעמים להשאיר זה לזה, להקדיש להיות שם בנחת רוח, בשפה ברורה ובנימה קדושה, כולם כאחד עונים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוך כל הארץ כבודו, והאבנים בחיות הקודש ברעש גדול, מנצחים לעומת צרפים, לעומתם משבחים ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני Page 236 at the bottom.
Or Hadash al Sion Tair, Veniz Kekulanu, Mihare Le'aro, Baruch Atah Adonai, Yoter Hamrod,
Amen. Turn the page.
Vekeratam.
Those of you who are wearing a talit, you find the four corners of fringes, these tzitziyot. You wrap them together around one finger because during the third paragraph of Shema, we're actually going to be talking about our tzitziyot as a reminder take care of all of those who are on the fringes of our society, and we kiss our tzitziot as we talk about that idea. We turn it now to Drew to lead us in the care of time.
Bekera tanu l'shimcha hagado, selach be'emet lechadod lecha, oyedcha be'ahava. Baruch atah Adonai,
Baruch Shemo.
haboher ba'amo, Yisrael be'ahava.
Amen.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha bechol avacha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol me'odecha, ve'ayu hadvarim ha'eleh, asher anochi mitzavecha hayom olavecha, ve'shinatam levenecha, ve'dibartavam, ve'shivtecha b'beitecha, u'lekecha b'derech, Yishaplecha, Yifnecha, Yishartam Deha, Yulataput, Minenecha, Yushatam, Muzot Betecha, Yisharecha. Vayu. Vayomer Adonai El Moshe Lemor Daber El Bnei Yisrael Vamarta Alehem Vasu Lechem Tzitzit Al Kanfei Videhen Hedorotam Vinatnu Al Tzitzit Kakanav Batil Dehelet Vihaya Lehem Tzitzit Oritem Otaus Hartem Ekol mitzvot Adonai, va'asitem otam, v'lo taturu, acharei levavhem, v'acharei nehem, asher atem zonim, achareihem, leman tizkaru, va'asitem ekol mitzvotai, v'tihem koshum, le'elohehem, ani, Adonai Elohechem, Asher Hotzeti, Ethem Meretz Mitzrayim, Le'yovlechem, Le'elohim Ani, Adonai Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem, Amen.
Avotenu ve'aleinu al banenu ve'avrotenu al kol dorotei Yisrael avdecha.
We'll continue in just a moment on page 252. If you're joining us online, page 158.
We're meeting at 252 for me.
Those of you who are able, please rise. This is the central prayer of our morning service, the Amidah. Drew's going to lead us the first 2 pages, starting on page 255. When you're finished with your personal prayer, you may once again be seated. But first, we'll start together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rahel Elohei Leah El Hagadol Bagibor Hanora El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim Bekonei Hakol Bezoher Hasdevot Umehi goa livnei nehem Iman shemo be'ahava Melech ozer Umoshiach umagin Baruch atah Adonai Magin Abraham Ezrat Sarah Atah gibor le'olam Adonai Mehayei metim Atah rav Loshia Mechel hayim behesed Mehayei meiti Rahani Rami Tomech Nofli Berofei Holy Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Ishanei Afar Mihamocha Bogirot Umido Mela Melech Memit Umahayem Umat Mia Yeshua Ne'emon atah l'chayot metim Baruch atah Adonai Mehayei hamet Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam Keshem shmati shimoto bishmei maram Kakatu v'yad neviyecha V'kara ze'el ze' v'amar Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Sevaot Melech ha'aretz kavodo Az b'kol ra'ash gadol Agir v'hazak mashmin kol Minasim le'umat serufim Le'umatam Baruch yomeru Baruch kavod Mikom ha-malkeinu Tofia Atimloch aleinu Ki mechakim anachnu la Matai timloch b'sion B'kero b'yameinu Elam ba'ed tishkon Titkira v'titkira shbeto Yerushalayim Ya'ala dor v'ador Nesa nesahi Ve'einenu Tirena malchuteha Kadamar hamor B'shirei uzehad Al yedei David Meshicha Tikeha Loch Adonai le'olam Elohai Sion Le'dor v'ador Hallelujah. The door by door, 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 Nakita Lecha. The door by door, door by door, door by door, Nakita Lecha. Nasa Nesahim, Kedusha Techa Natish, Kedusha Techa Natish, Veshiv Hacha Eloheinu. Yipinu Yamush, the Yamush, Leolam Va'ed. The door by door, the door by door, the door by door, the door by door, door by door, Naki Kaleha. The door by door, the door by door, door by door, the door by door, Naki Kaleha. Ki El Melech Gadol, Gadol V'Kadosh, Gadol V'Kadosh Atah. Ki El Melech Gadol, Gadol V'Kadosh, Gadol V'Kadosh Atah. Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Page 306 is the Kaddish Shalom, the formal end to the silent prayer. Page 306, online, page 167. We turn to page 312 is where our Torah service.
In kamocha v'Elohim Adonai v'in kemasecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed Adonai oz ve'amo yitzim Adonai yevarech et hamo b'shalom Avarachamim etziva b'rtzoncha et Zion tivnei chorot Yerushalayim tivnei chorot Yerushalayim ki lecha levagatachnu melech elam v'nisa Adon olamim.
We now invite up the co-moderators, we invite Amelie and Darren to come and present a talit, their son Drew, so we can officially be able to read the Torah for us. So Drew, come stand right over here.
Good morning. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you all for joining us in this just absolutely amazing occasion. Drew, this is a very important day in your life. One you will never forget. Drew, today, you are taking part in a time-honored tradition, one that we as Jewish people have been doing for thousands of years. You are also carrying on a legacy of your family. Great men like your great-grandfathers, Arnold, Maury, Nathan. Your grandpas Gilbert, Bruce, and your great-uncle Herman, your Uncle Moshe, and of course, your dad. You are walking the same path that these men have walked before you. When your mom and I first laid eyes on you, we knew that you were going to be special. And that you are, my son. You are kind, you are warm, and you are supportive. Whether it's with your family, your friends, your wrestling teammates, or just grabbing the door for a stranger, we can count on you to do the right thing. You are strong, not just with your body, but with your mind. You have your own opinion of the world. You are not afraid to share it. You are such a hard worker, whether it's in sport of wrestling or in school. You are always You always rise to the occasion. Today is no different. Learning the prayers and how to read from the Torah was not easy for you. At times it was a struggle, but you did what you always do. You persevered. Your commitment to Judaism is evident, but you did not do it alone. You had a team behind you, whether it was your religious school teachers, your tutor, Rivka, or, of course, your mom. There has always been someone guiding you. Now comes the part of the speech where I tell you how proud we are of you. Becoming a man of the Jewish religion, and I would like to offer you a little bit of advice that you can carry with you. Be proud of the person you are. Carry on the Jewish religion. Stay true to yourself. Follow your heart. Be kind, but never back down when it's something you believe in. You always believe in yourself. You can be something really great in this world. Anything is possible as long as you never stop believing. We love you, Drew.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzidvanu v'chatif v'tzitzit.
Those of you who are able, please rise.
Vayomer Moshe Kuma Adonai Ve'yafutzu oivecha Ve'yanusu mesanecha Mipanecha Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Ki mitzion tetzei Torah Vodevar Adonai miYerushalayim Baruch Shenatan Torah Baruch Shenatan Torah Le'amo Yisrael B'kdushato. On page 316, the third paragraph down. Kadisha Yakira Ana Emar Tushbechan Yehera Vakadama Tetiftach Libi Beoraita Vetashli Mishalim Delibi Veliva Becholamach Israel Letahur Chaim Velishma Amen.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael Adonai
You may be seated. At least 4 times a week, we read out of our holy text, we read out of our Sefer Torah, this book, this scroll that's been written the same way for a very long time, on the same parchment, with the same kind of ink, with the same kind of quill, with the same letters in the same spots, with the same mistakes, week after week, year after year, century after century, the same book. We have, we're lucky enough as a community to have 10 of them or so in our community. And they're all exactly the same, written the same way. There is no one statement of faith in Judaism. There was a conversation that a rabbi passed on to me, and he said it was really embarrassing. I disagree with him, but I can understand where he comes from. He said he was talking to a priest, and he said to the priest, they were talking about how do you become a member of your community? And the priest said, all you have to do is say this statement of faith. You have to believe the same thing that I believe, and we can worship together in the same holy space. Rabbi, how do you become a member of your community? And the rabbi gulped his swallow, and he said, well, you pay the membership fee and the security fee and the building committee fee, and that's how you become a member of our community. And the rabbi shared this with me, being so embarrassed. And I see it differently. The rabbi was saying, anybody can be part of our community. You want to be part of a synagogue? Come. You want to worship with us? Come. You want to be part of the holiest moments in our community? Come. Be a part of it. There are a few barriers. The Hebrew, the language could be a barrier. And the fact that we have security and all the other things could be a barrier. And to come up here and to read from the Torah, to say blessings on the Torah, there's a barrier there. You have to understand a little bit more about Judaism. But anybody is welcome to do that and to learn that, to be part of the Jewish people. If you're to be part of our community, you just show up and you're part of our community. There is no question of what you believe. Other religions have a statement of faith that if you don't say this word, if you don't believe this word with all of your heart, you are not part of us, and that's okay. There's another house of worship somewhere for you. And Judaism says, you want to be part of our community? Be part of our community. Show up. Be here. To be an official member of our community, there are certain dues because we have to make sure the lights and the air conditioning stay a little bit too cold. And you have to make sure that there's an office with staff and papers and books and all the things that we need to run an office. We don't have a hierarchy where there's a multi-trillion-dollar organization overseeing us. You want to be part of us? Come be part of us. You want your loved ones' names on the wall so we can remember them? Let us know. We'll get a plaque. Your loved one's name's gonna be on the walls. We see them every time we come into this room and we remember them. We remember their life, light the little light next to it when it's their yard site, when it's the anniversary of their passing, so we can remember them. We want to share stories with our community. You're part of our community. There's no one statement of faith. The closest that we get is from this morning's Torah reading. From this morning's Torah portion. So if you have a blue book, you can close the blue book for right now. If you have it in a seat back pocket in front of you or underneath you if you're in the front row, there is a big red book that looks like this. It is called the Etz Chaim Chumash. It is the 5 books of the Torah written in Hebrew and in English with not only translation, but also commentary and understandings under it. And then with the additional, some of the words of our prophets in there as well. In that book, we're going to start on page 1014. Page 1014. This is the book of Deuteronomy, the last book of our Torah, the 5th book of our Bible. It's the second parsha, the second Torah portion, the second section of that book. And it's trying to understand what it means to have faith. Moses is talking to the people of Israel, to our ancestors, on the banks of the Jordan River before they enter into the Holy Land. And Moses is trying to pass along to them the wisdom that he has amassed in his lifetime. And he keeps on coming back in this Torah portion as he's trying to explain this. He comes back to one word over and over again. 19 times in this Torah portion, one word comes up. Shema. Shema means hear. It means listen. It means heed. It means follow. Shema is so much more than just like you hear a noise in the background. What do you pay attention to? There is no one statement of faith in Judaism, but this is the closest we get. Because what we're saying is, listen, everybody. Listen, all of you. We are echad. We are one. There is oneness and there is unity in our community. No matter how different we all, tall, short, round, sideways, up and down, what we look like, it doesn't matter. What we believe, it doesn't matter. There is oneness. There is unity in our community. There is no statement of faith saying you must believe in God, and if you don't believe in God, you're not part of our synagogue, you're not part of our religion. That doesn't exist. Our statement of faith is, do you believe in each other? And we do that, I do that. You might be different. I do that by believing in God. Not because God is far away and somewhere out there, but because when we are echad, when we are united, when we are brought together, that is godliness. Our rabbis of antiquity believed that God doesn't show up just anywhere. God shows up when people are in love, when people are in chavruta, in conversation, when there are 10 people gathered together to help a mourner through some difficult time in their life. When somebody is there visiting somebody who's sick, that's where God shows up. Not in a moment of unity, in a moment of solidarity by yourself, but in a moment of community. That's what the statement of faith is that we have our Torah portion. It's not individual, and it's a place that we can grow. And to do that, we have to shema. We have to shomea. We have to listen. We have to pay attention, not to the rabbi, not to the preacher, not just to the bar mitzvah, although it's a good idea to listen to him today. He's got some wise words for us. We listen to those around us. We see what it is that they need. That's where divinity comes in. We're going to have 8 Torah readings this morning. Each of them is just a few sentences long, starting on page 1014 in the middle of that page at verse 41. And each Torah reading is not only somebody who is skilled to read Torah, some from the family and some from the community, some in person and some joining us via Zoom online. How amazing is this these days? And on each one, we have people blessing this Torah, to bring blessings to our community, to take their seat, their fringe, the corner of who they are, and touch it to the Torah and bring it to their mouth, bring the wisdom into their mouth to say a blessing for that moment. I'd like to bless some of the people in our community. We'll invite Gilbert Gilbert to come up here to say the first blessing and to read the first part of the Torah. V'ya'azor v'yagem v'yoshia l'chol hakosim bo v'nomar amen. Hakol havu godel Eloheinu kol Torah. Ya'amod Gidon ben Moshe. V'aliyah rishona baruch shatan Torah le'eloheinu b'kedushato. V'atem habikim Adonai Elohechem chen kulchem hayom.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אתה המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
אמן.
אז יבדיל משה 3 ערים בעבר הירדן, מזרח השמש לנוס שמה, רוצח אשר ירצח את רעהו בבלי דעת, והוא לא שונא לו לטמול שלשום. ונס אל אחד מנערים האר, וחי את בצר במדבר בארץ המישור לראובני, ואת רמות בגלעד לגדי, ואת גולן בבשן למנשים. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נתן בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen.
Oh, if you don't come stand with me, we call up now Bruce and Evelyn to the Torah. They can say the brachot, the blessings on the Torah. Ya'amdu al zi ben bret ve'yochel ben Natan sheni. For this Aliyah Tzvi is going to be reading for us online. We're at verse 44, the bottom of page 1014.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher bachar banu mikol amim, v'notan lanu et torato. Baruch Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. V'zot haTorah asher saham Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael ele haidut v'achukim v'mishpatim asher diber Moshe el bnei Yisrael b'tzeitah mimitzrayim be'ever hayarden bagai mul beit peor be'eretz Sichon melech Amori asher yoshev b'cheshbon asher hikah Moshe uvnei Yisrael b'tzeitah mimitzrayim vayirshu et artzo v'et eretz Og melech habashan shnei malchei ho'emori asher be'ever hayarden mizrach shamesh me'aroer asher al sefat nachal arnon vad har Sion hu Hermon v'chol ha'arava ever hayarden mizracha vad yam ha'arava tachat Ashdod hapisga.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech olam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chai olam nota b'tochenu. Baruch Adonai noten haTorah.
the third Aliyah, Mili is going to read Torah for us. We invite Darren and Mili to say the brachot, the blessings of the Torah. So Yasher Koch to Bruce and Evelyn, come stand. Ya'amdu Mili ban Gidon Yocheved, Pinchas ben Ilan, Shlishi. What she's about to read is the second telling of the 10 Commandments. So after they say their blessing, you're welcome to rise as we once again listen to the 10 Commandments in their entirety from the book of Deuteronomy.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher barach banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notei haTorah.
Amen.
Those who are able, please rise.
Amen. Vayikra Moshe El Kol Yisrael Vayomar Alehem Shema Yisrael Et HaChukim Ve'et HaMishpatim Asher Anochi Dover Ba'aznechem Hayom U'lemaletem Otam V'shamartem La'asotam Adonai Eloheinu Karati Manu Breathe Bechorev Lo et avotinu Harat Adonai et habrit hazot Ki tanu Anachnu elepo Hayom Kulanu Chaim Fanim Befanim Daber Adonai imachem Bahar Mitoach ha'esh Anochi Amed ben Adonai uvnechem ve'ed ha'ir le'hagid lechem et devar Adonai ki irtem mipnei esh ve'lo alitem bahar le'mor Anochi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim מבית עבדים לא יהיה לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי לא תעשה לך פסל כל תמונה אשר בשמיים ממעל ואשר בארץ מתחת ואשר במים מתחת לארץ לא תשתחווה להם ולא תעבדם כי אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך אלקנה פוקד עוון אבות אבנים ועל שילשים ועל רבעים לשונאי ועושה חסד לאלפים, לאוהבי, לשומרי מצוותיי. לא תעשה את שם אדוני אלוהיך לשווא, כי לא ינקה אדוני את אשר יישא את שמו לשווא. שמור את יום השבת לקודשו כאשר ציווה אדוני אלוהיך ששת ימים תעבוד ועשית כל מלאכתך ביום השביעי שבת לאדוני אלוהיך לא תעשה כל מלאכתך אתה ובנך ובתך ועבדך ואמתך ושורך וחמורך בכל בהמתך, בגרך אשר בשמך בשעריך, למען ינילך עבדך ואמתך, כמוך וזכרת, כי אתה עבד היית, ארץ מצרים יצוח יוציאך אדוני אלוהיך משם בקעת חזקם בזרעך ובזרוע הנטויה על כן ציווך אדוני אלוהיך לעשות את יום השבת. כבד את אביך ואת אמך, כאשר ציווך אדוני אלוהיך, למען יאריכו ימיך, ולמען ייטב לך על האדמה אשר אדוני אלוהיך נותן לך, לא תרצח ולא תנא ולא תגנוב ולא תענברך אישה ולא תחמוד אשר אשת רעך ולא תתאבד את רעך, צאתהו ועבדו ואמתו, שורו וחמורו, וכל אשר לרעך.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah haemet, v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu, baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah. Amen.
I'm not such a mystical person, but there's something really beautiful about standing together as a very disparate, very unique community, reminiscent to how our ancestors stood at the foot of Mount Sinai, and then their children stood at the banks of the Jordan River, listening to those same words being chanted the same way. For the fourth Aliyah, we call up Moshe ben Gidon. Moshe to come. There's a ramp over there. You want me to? I can vamp. I can. Okay. Ya'amod, Moshe ben Gidon, Revi'i. John Hobbs is going to read for us online the next two aliyot. We're on page 1021 at verse 19.
Sorry.
Baruch Adonai HaBorach.
Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Et hadavarim ha'ele diber Adonai el kol ha'koachem bahar mitoch ha'esh ha'anan v'harafel kol gadol v'lo yasaf V'yichtavem al shnei luchot avanim v'yidem elai v'yehi k'shomachem et hakol mitoch hachoshech v'hahar bo'er ba'esh ותקרבון אלי כל ראשי שבטיכם וזקניכם, ותאמרו, הן הראנו אדוני אלוהינו את כבודו ואת גודלו ואת קולו שמענו מתוך האש. היום הזה ראינו כי ידבר אלוהים את האדם וחי.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. For the fifth Aliyah, we call up a visitor to our community and a regular to our community. I'm going to guess Ta'amod, Olivat Aharon, Yisrael Ben Zion, Chava. These are more to your name?
She's Shulamit.
Pardon me. Ta'amod Shulamit Ben Bat Aharon. Umichal, Israel Ben Zion, the Chamishi is the fifth Aliyah word, verse 22.
Amen.
Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, Venatan Lanu et Torah, Baruch atah Adonai, Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Yata lama namud ki toklenu haesh hagadola hazot im yosfim anachnu lishmoa et kol Adonai Eloheinu od v'matnu ki mikol basar asher shama kol Elohim chaim medaber mitoch haesh kamonu v'yechi karav ata ushma et kol asher yomar Adonai Eloheinu va'at tadaber eleinu et kol asher yedaber Adonai Eloheinu elecha v'shamanu va'asinu.
Asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
In the middle of our Torah service every week, we take a moment to say a prayer of healing, Mi Shaberach, asking God to bless all of those who came before us, to bring blessings to us, to those among us who are ill, who are healing, who are recovering, who are seeking. I'm going to start with the prayer in Hebrew, and then I'll read a list of names, some of them in English and some of them in Hebrew. If you have names to add, people you're thinking of who could use healing, please we'll go around the room and you can add names of people that you are thinking of today. Yishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah, Vivarech v'Yirpei Atah Cholim, Menucha bat Necha Shalom ben Rivka bat Sarah Adam ben Chava Chana bat Chava, Yosef ben Rachel Moshe ben Fega Lezer ben Chava Moshe ben Yehudi, Shimon ben Mazal Yaakov ben Moshe Yehudit bat Sarah, Ben Michael ben Shirley Tali bat Sarah Tzipora bat Leah, Sarah Fegabat Esther Gushi Hudit Lulabat Sarah bat Esther Rivka bat Sarah, Miriam bat Dorit Baruch ben David Harav Chaim Yaakov ben Pesha, Dora bat Golda Yehudit bat Sarah Yocheved Miriam bat Esther, Pinchas ben Tzvia, Yosef ben Sarah, J. Love, Sheldon Kaminsky, Rob Silverstein, Bobby Sachs, Madeline Morris, Darlene, Cassandra Hosher, Ann Nathan, Shirley Rutkovitz, Jeff Blakely, Al Sanderson, John Ogle, Jill Nansel, Vivian Sterling, Nahum Osher ben Malka, Shanel bat Basha, Yosef ben Devora, Abraham ben Vida, Michael Raphael ben Chava, Racha bat Miriam, Rivka bat Henya, Sarah bat Esther, Chava, Fredel bat Be'ira Noga, Ayelet bat Simon, Gabriela bat Ayala, Chaya Malka bat Ruchel.
Ali ben Maskini, the Bakshinder, Kamiok, the Wora, on the Malet and the Kava, Ruben, Pinchas Ruben, Ben Sarah, Rivka Batsara, Aaron Freeman, and Ron Freeman, and Aaron Hall.
Lisa Lee and her husband Dan and my niece and nephew Hannah and Nathan are unable to be here. They're in South Carolina and we got COVID. So
My friend Reuben Gate, who is.
Hello. Yes. Online, Debbie.
Laser Ben Chaba, Pinchas Ben Zivia.
Steve.
Yaharacha Mishka Dorba Yaharacha Yentobat Bracha Yisrael Bat Bracha Bracha Bat Mala Miguel Ben Joseph and Suzanne Morton. Thank you.
You know.
Shlomo Chayon Ben Miriam.
Oh, I know. That kol hacholim v'kehilatim hakadosh baruch hu yimalei rachamim aleichem v'hachzikam v'rakotam v'yishlach lehem v'herach refuah shalom min hashamayim v'vot hanefesh v'vot haguf b'toch sh'ar cholim v'chazek et hoskim tzorkeihem Shabbat mili zok refuah kol alavo hashta ba'agala u'bizman hariv v'nomar amen. A speedy recovery, a full recovery to those who need it most, to those who seek it, all of those who are thinking of today, whose names we forgot to mention, them too, may they find peace and holiness and comfort in their bodies and in their spirits. So everybody say amen. So some of us say amen. The sixth aliyah, I'd like to call up Lily, remember Pam. C is going to read for us again online. Ta'amdu Lili bat Nili Pinchas, Sarah bat Ada, Shishi.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתנו. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayishma Adonai et kol divrechem, v'daberchem elai. Vayomer Adonai elai. Shamati et kol divrei ha'am hazeh asher divru elecha. Heitivu kol asher diberu mitei v'haya levavam zeh lahem lira'oti v'lishmor et kol mitzvotai kol hayamim Leman yitav lahem, v'livnehem le'olam, lech emor lahem, shuvu lachem le'ahalehem, ve'ata po amod imadi, Vadabrai lecha et kol hamitzvah v'chukim b'mishpatim asher tulamdem ve'asu v'aretz asher anochi noten lahem l'rishtah Ushmartem lasod kasher tziva Adonai Elohechem etchem lo tasuru yamin usmol b'chol haderech asher tziva Adonai Elohechem etchem tevechu leman tihyun v'tov lachem varachtem yamim ba'aretz asher tirashu.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, b'chayei olam natan b'tokinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. For the seventh Aliyah, we're gonna have Drew read first. I want to invite Drew to come right up here. And I want to invite all of the children to come up onto the bima. If you are a child of any sort, you can define yourself in whatever way you like. Come up onto the bima and stand behind Drew, who is coming up here now as a man. And we're gonna hold a chuppah over their heads. We've got Brett, Bruce, Gilbert, and Ryan to hold up a chuppah over them. Right there. Talk, cover all of the tips. You get Bruce over here, or Darren, you want to hand your gun for Bruce? Just like that. Just like that. Kids, come on, stand under here. And all the reasons behind that stuff, and all the future behind that stuff, come close. You're doing on behalf of everybody here. We haven't yet. If your seat, hit and touch it right where Drew is pointing. Or you don't have to do that. Here he's pointing. Anna, Jenny.
One, two, three. Baruch Adonai Hamorah, Baruch Adonai. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
Amen. Vezot HaMitzvah HaChukim VaMishpatim Asher Siva Adonai Eloheim Ulamehem La'asot Haaretz Asher Atem Ovrim Shama Rishta Lemon Tira Et Adonai Elohecha Ishmor Et Chukotav Mitzvotav Asher Anochi Mitzavecha Ata Uvinha Uvinha Kol Yamei Hayecha Uman Yarhun Yamecha Vishamatai Israel Vishamatai La'asot Asher Yitav Lecha Ba'asher Tirbun Me'od Ka'asher Diber Adonai Elohei Avotecha Lav Eretz Savat Halav Vivash.
Jenna and Harrison and Sarah. Corner.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
The kids may be seated. Let's keep one or two nations up here. Harrison, the next two garments, but I don't want to say them. Okay, everybody else will be seated. We'll take this back. We'll collect this from you. And now comes the moment. This is the moment. Drew was called up before as just one of our readers. Now he'll be called up as a bar mitzvah as he becomes an adult in our community. You can follow along. He's going to read the same thing he just read, although maybe it will surprise him. He'll read the next line for us as well. We'll see if he wants to keep going. So once again, we are on page 1023, page 1023, at the beginning of chapter 6.
Ya'amod, 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 Ya'amod. Habachu b'mitzvah, haba b'tchilas v'nili, maftir chazak.
Baruch Adonai Hamorah. Baruch Adonai Hamorah Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Bezod HaMitzvah, Bachukim, Bamishpatim, Asher Siva, Adonai Elohechem, Ulamed Etchem, La'asod Parts, Asher Atem, Ovrim Shama, Rishta, Ilman Tira, Et Adonai Elohecha, Ishmor Pikotav, Mitzvotav, Asher Anachim Etzavecha, Ata Uvinha, Ko Yame Hayecha, Uman Yarfu Yamecha, Vishamata Israel, Vishamarta, Lasot, Asher Nita, Leha, Vasher Tiru, Ne'od, Ka Asher, Diber Adonai, Elohei Avotecha, Lach Eretz, Tevat Halak Uvash. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata v'tokeinu. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Torah. Amen.
Yasher Koach, beautifully, beautifully done. The boys may be seated. It's a little tradition we're trying to start out here that when the kids come up to say the blessing and they all stand here, the ones who stick around, somebody's got to stay here, the ones who stick around are the ones whose b'nai mitzvah, whose bar mitzvahs are coming up next. And so we look forward to next week Nathan, and the week after Harrison, in a couple months Nathan, and in a couple more months Hannah, and it's nice to be able to continue this tradition into the months to come. We're going to lift the Torah and show you what we just read. All right. We're gonna lift the Torah and see what we just read. We invite Gilbert up here to lift the Torah and Darren up here to dress the Torah. You'll notice some weird line breaks. That's the moment when we read the 10 Commandments. So you can look into the Torah and see what we just read. Imagine in older days, there were smaller synagogues that weren't sanctuaries. So everybody can see what we just read and actually see the letters that we just read. You'll see some of the letters are a little bit bigger, they stand out more. If your eyes are good, you'll see them. If your eyes are not as good, you'll probably see them. Those who are able, please rise and get a good look at this Torah. Zod HaTorah,
It's a process. A holy process, of course, but a process nonetheless.
You may be seated. I'll take this moment also to thank our Torah readers, Gilbert and Svi and Neely and John, and our bar mitzvah, our newest Torah reader in our community, Drew. Yasher Koach to you all, especially, it's a big one. Beautiful job with 18 verses, which is very big for us. In our red Chumash still, we turn forward to page 1033. Page 1033 is the beginning of the Haftarah. I mentioned last night that today's a Jewish holiday called Tu B'Av, which is translated roughly as the Jewish Valentine's Day. It is a day of love. If you are with somebody you love, embrace them. If you are not with somebody you love, look for somebody you love. Maybe they're here, and maybe they're outside when you leave, and maybe you'll find some love, some brotherly love, some relationship love, some parental love. There's a lot of love here. On top of that, it's a full moon, and it's Shabbat, and it's Tu B'Av. It's a lot of things. It's also Drew's Bar Mitzvah. And the Haftorah today is a special Haftorah, because last week was the saddest day of the year. Last week was a day called Tisha B'Av. There's both a B'Av, which means in the month of Av. Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, is the day that we commemorate all the destruction, all of the anti-Semitism, and all the hatred that we've known for the last 2,600 years. Most of our major moments of anti-Semitism, destruction of the temple in Jerusalem twice, and the putting down of revolts and kicking us out of the land of England in the year 1096, and kicking us out of the land of Spain in 1492, and kicking us out of the land of Italy, and kicking us out of the land of, name your country somewhere in the world, all seemed to happen on the same day in the summer, which in the Hebrew calendar, Tisha B'Av. And over the course of the week, we're trying to build ourselves out of there. And for the next 7 weeks, trying to lift ourselves up from the lowest moment in our Jewish story to the highest moment of our Jewish story, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And so for the next couple of weeks, we work our way up this small staircase, trying to go from this moment of low, this moment of sadness and crying and wondering what we did wrong to deserve such punishment, this moment of communion with God, to this moment of Rosh Hashanah, where we start the year over, start our lives over, wipe our slates clean, absolve ourselves of all sins, and try to move forward in a new way. This weekend is the first step in that. It's called Shabbat Nachamu, because the first word in the Haftarah that we read from the book of Isaiah on page 1033 is Nachamu, which means comfort. And we take this moment today during our service to think, who comforts you? Who comforts you? And whom do you comfort? Not because you say the right words, but whose presence in your life brings you comfort? And whose presence in their life brings them comfort because you are there? I have visited people in hospitals. I have gone to visit people who are in mourning at the deepest point, the saddest moment of who they are, the saddest moment of the year, the worst moment that they have. And I always, every time, I've been doing this for years and years, and every time I freak out right before I enter that room. What can I possibly say that will make them feel better? I have no magical words. I don't have that dictionary. I don't know what tools I have. And you know what it is? Presence. Just being there. On Tisha B'Av, we feel like we are alone and there is no holiness in the world. And today on Shabbat Nachamu, on Tu B'Av, we feel like there is holiness, there is love, and there is community. So we say these words of Shabbat Nachamu. We invite Drew up here to say the bracha, the blessing before the Haftarah, then to read the first 9 verses of chapter 40 of
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nbi'im tovim v'rasa v'divrehem nemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'torah Moshe Avdo, Israel Amo, Uvinei Haimet, Vasedek. Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami Omar, Elohehem, Daberu, Elev Yerushalayim, Vikiru Elecha, Ki Maleach Sevaach Ki Nirtza Avonach Ki Laka Miyad Adonai Ki Mayim Beho Hatatecha Ko Kore Bamidbar Mesila Lelohinu, Koke Hinase, Vehohar Iva Yispalu, Vehaya Akov, Lemishor, Vehar Hasim, Vika, Benigla, Kivot Adonai, Vera'u, Obasar, Yahadav, Ki, Pi Adonai, Diber, Ho, Omer, Kera, Ba'amar, Ma'ekra, Ho Havasar, Hasir, Veho Hasdo, Kesis Hasadeh, Yahweh Shasir, Na'avel Sis, Ki, Ruach Adonai, Nashabo, Ahin Hasir, Ha'am, Yahweh Shasir, Navel Sis, Udvar Eloheinu, Yakun Elam, Ahar Gavoach, Alilach, Mivaseret Sion, Harimi, Bakoah, Kole, Mivaseret Yerushalayim, Harimi, Altirai, Imri, La'arei Yehuda, Kine, Elohem. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Sor kol haolamim, Tzadik behodorot, El hane'eman, Haomer ve'oseh hamedaber u'mekayem, Shekol devarav, Emet hasedek. Neman ataku Adonai Eloheinu v'nemanim devarecha v'devar echad mivarecha v'chor lo yashu rekam ki amok ne'eman v'rachaman ata baruch ata Adonai el haneman v'chol devarav. Rahim Osion, Ki Beta Yenu, Lovat Nefesh Toshia, Imera V'Yamenu, Baruch Ata Adonai, Nisamea Sion Bevanecha. Amen. Samkeinu Adonai Eloheinu, Eliyahu Hanavi Avdecha, Mahot Bet David Meshihecha, Imhera Yavo V'Yagel Imenu, Okisolo Yeshazar, Elohim Halu Od Aharim Et Kvodo, Kiveshe Kodshecha Yishbatalo Shalohi Ben Nero Lelamba Ed Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Tavi. Ahatarah V'Havodar V'Hanviim V'Yom Hashvat Hazeh Shenatata Lanu Adonai Eloheinu L'Kedusha L'Nuha L'Kavod U'Tifaret Al-Hakol Adonai Eloheinu Nachnim Me'odim Lach Emun Umvarhim Otah Yitbarach Shimcha V'Fikol HaYatamid Elam Va'ed Baruch Ata Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Yasher Koach, Yasher Koach means that you continue to have strength, but you continue to come back and read Hebrew for us in the future. We'd like to now invite up Aunt Jen to lead us in an English reading. We're on page 6. If you put away your red Chumash, this one can close now. Take out your blue Siddur again. We're on page 762. Page 762, Torah and our prayers. We'll read responsibly.
Praise be our God who created us for the divine glory, setting us apart from those who go astray by giving us the Torah of truth, thus planting within us eternal life.
With everlasting love, you have loved your people Israel. You have taught us the Torah and its mitzvot.
This is my covenant with them, says the Lord. My spirit which is upon you, and my words which I have put in your mouth, shall remain with you and with your children and with your children's children forever.
Take to heart the words which I teach you this day. Teach them diligently to your children.
Merciful God, imbue us with the will to understand, to discern, to learn, and to teach, and to fulfill and love the teachings of your Torah.
May our eyes be enlightened by your Torah. May our hearts cling to your commandments.
May we rejoice in the words of your Torah, and may we and our children and all future generations know your name and study your Torah for its own sake.
For it is a tree of life to those who take hold of it, and happy is everyone who upholds it.
Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and its paths are peace.
How fortunate are we? How good is our portion? How pleasant our lot? How beautiful our heritage.
Praise to you, O God, who has shown us the way to holiness and wisdom through the study of Torah.
Amen. Thank you very much, Jen. Very nicely done. We turn back now to page 336. If you're online still with us, you're using the PDF of that seal on page 181.
Shreya Shrevetecha, Ayachalu Chasela.
Shreya Am Shekachalo, Shreya Am Adonai Eloham.
Tekilala David, Aromim Halachai Hamelech, Navar Hashim Halelam Vahed.
Bechol Yom Avarcheka, Allah Shimcha Elam Vaed.
Gadol Manu Le'od, V'liduato in Heker.
Dor Ledor Yishabach Ma'asecha, Uvorotecha Yadidu.
Hadar Kavod Hodecha, V'divrei Neflotecha Asiha.
Ve'ezuz Norotecha Yomeru, Udulacha Asaprena.
Zeheratucha Yabiu, Isihaha Yeranenu.
Chayim Berachum Adonai, Erech Ha'ayin Udol Chased.
Tovenai Lakol, Berachama Al Kumasa.
Yoduch Adonai Kol Ma'asecha, Chasidecha Yevarchucha.
Kivod Malchuta Yomeru, Uberatha Yadaberu.
Ve'odil Limnei Adam Uvorotav, Ukavod Hadar Malchuto.
Malchuta Malchut Kolami, Umemshotecha, Behol Dor Vador.
Somech Adonai L'chol Hanoflim, Zotech L'chol HaKufim.
Ene Kol Elaha Ya Saberu, Gata Notin Lachem Et Ahalam Be'ito.
Poteach et Yadecha, Umatzvia L'chol Haratzon.
Sadiq Adonai Behol Dirahav, Behasid Behol Maasav.
Karov Adonai L'chol Torah, Kol Asher Yikra'uhu Be'emet.
B'tzion Yira'ed Ya'aseh, Bet Shabbaton Bishma Be'oshi'em.
Shomer Adonai et Kol Ohavav, et Kol Harsha'im Yashmi.
Tehilat Adonai Yadaber Fi, Yivarech Kol Basar Shem Kutsha Le'lam Ba'ed.
Vayamach Yivarech Me'atah. Let's invite the parents and grandparents back onto the bima at this moment. Those of you who are able in your seats, please rise.
Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, Ki Nizkav Shemo Levato. Kol haaretz yashav ha'ayim, vayarech ke'even le'yamo.
be seated. He's been teaching us in Hebrew and singing prayers for us. Lily, I promise she'll be up here for another moment later on. I'm sorry about that. I was just like, uncomplicated. He's been teaching us in Hebrew all morning. Drew is now going to teach us a little bit of his Torah portion in English, share some words with us.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. In this week's Torah portion, at Hanan, Moses begged Hashem to let him cross over into the land of Israel, but God refused. Moses was disappointed for himself. He was even more concerned about making sure that the Israelites would never forget God's teachings. That is why the Shema and the Ten Commandments are repeated in the Parsha. Moses pleaded with his people to always remember there's only one God and to follow his commandments. He says, do not forget the things that you have seen with your own eyes, and so that they do not fade from your mind as long as you live. Make them known to your children and your children's children. It's crazy when I think about how long ago that really was. And yet, here I am, sitting on the Bima in 2021, and exactly what God and Moses wanted. 3 years ago, my whole family went to Israel for my sister's bar mitzvah. I was astonished to see places like the Western Wall and Masada still intact. I was too young to realize that at the time, but now I know that I'm part of the Jewish history and that being a Jew comes with responsibilities. That is the real reason that I am standing here today. Choosing to have a bar mitzvah, to me, means that I'm now a man in the Jewish religion. It is my privilege and responsibility to continue what God and Moses started so many years ago. I'd like to thank my parents, grandparents, sister, brother, aunts, uncles, and cousins for participating in my bar mitzvah. It's very special to me because I know they spent a lot of time studying. I speak from experience when I tell you that it is really hard. Without my tutor Rivka and my mom, I could have never done it. They put up with me when my studies got tough and always believed that I could do it. Finally, I'd like to thank Rabbi Abraham. I know he's new at our temple, but talking to him in his office and practicing with him during Minyan made me a lot less nervous for some reason. Thank you, Rabbi, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Yasher Koach, really beautifully done. Thank you for the kind words to me. When I have the bar mitzvah, kids stop thanking me. It's very nice and flattering. I would like to invite Joyce up here, our director of our religious school, who has known you and your family for at least around 13 years, to share some thoughts with you.
Drew, you have been at Temple Science since you were in mommy and me. And now all these years through religious school. And taking your place today as a bar mitzvah, as a son of the commandment, we are all so proud of you. Your father spoke beautifully in his speech about all those who came before you and took their place, and now it's your turn. And we look forward to you doing all those things you talked about in your speech, leading services, being part of the Jewish community, and giving back in so many ways. And I know you will do that. So on this day, I would like to present you with your bar mitzvah certificate. Take a shot. It says Drew Perlmutter was called to the Torah as a bar mitzvah at Temple Etz Chaim. This is your second home. On this date, July 24th, 2021. And I know that when you look at this bar mitzvah certificate and you look at this date, you will remember all the pride that we feel in this room for you and all our hopes for you for your future. Also, I'd like to present you with these gifts in this bag from our board of directors, from our men's club, our women of TEC, our USY. And what happens when you get a gift at home? You open it, you look at it, you go, thank you so much for this gift. Please open these gifts, use them. There's the Torah in English, study it. There's a Kiddush cup. There's a red key pot for the men's club. There's a mezuzah. If you don't have one on your door, put it on your door or find a door that you can put it on. Use them, make your own special memories and traditions with them. And most importantly, this beautiful talis that your parents presented with love to you today. Wear it. When you know it's a Saturday morning or a holiday where we wear a talis, bring your talis to shul. Wear it with the pride, like I said. And we look forward to sharing so many more happy times here at Temple Zion and throughout your life. Lots of love.
Sure. Your name is Avraham in Hebrew. Avraham means one who leads many people as if they are a father. And to think of all those who in your lifetime you will lead, who will look up to you. We are called B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel, not because our father is Israel, but because we are B'nai Yisrael. Our ancestor in the Bible, in the book of Genesis, is nicknamed Yisrael, which translates as the one who wrestles with God. And I think of you in that way because you wrestle. And the idea of Yisrael isn't metaphorical. Yisrael, Yaakov, Jacob, didn't wrestle metaphorically. We all wrestle metaphorically. We wrestle with our beliefs. We wrestle with our ideas and understanding. What does the world mean? We wrestle with these ideas. We wrestle in our relationships. But our ancestor Jacob was given the nickname Yisrael because he literally wrestled. He didn't know with whom he was wrestling. There are stories that believe it's his brother. There are stories of those who believe it's an angel or it is God. But it's this idea that he wrestled, and I pass that along to you. That you are someone who literally wrestles, like our ancestor does. And even though in Israel got hurt, he twisted his leg in such a way that he limped for the rest of his life. He carried on that strength with him, that ability to take that literal into the metaphorical. He literally wrestled meant that we now, as his offspring, wrestle with our beliefs. One of the hardest parts of your Torah reading today, the translation is, not the Hebrew so much, but the translation is, don't be one of the pagan people. You're about to enter this land where there are other people living there, people with their own ancestors and their own beliefs. Be Jewish, be an Israelite, be proud of who you are. And I hope that as you go through life, you take this moment with you. This moment that we are all here today, you bottle this moment, and carry it with you. So I want to make sure that everybody, that you keep this with you forever. That as you go through life, you don't do it not just as an American or as a person of the world, but also as a Jew. You go through and you're you. You're the most you that you can be. And you carry that uniqueness with you. And it's echoed in the last line of your Haftorah that you chanted today, which says, stand up and shout something. And what you shout, that is your God. There are different ways of understanding this because we can put the punctuation in different places. But really it's what you stand up and shout, what you find most about, what you find most important in the world, what you scream and shout and wrestle with. That's your God. Is it money? Is it property? Is it fame? Is it fortune? Is it relationships? What is the thing that you stand up and shout about most? What is the thing that you care about most that you're going to preach it to everybody else? That is your God. The words, as you read them today, Hine Elohecha, behold, that is your God. And so I challenge you in life as you move through this world to be you, to shout for the things that are important to you, to wrestle with the things that you're trying to understand, to be the best version of you that you can be. I want to give you a blessing of our people. It's one that we give to every bar mitzvah, it's one that we give to every baby that is born, it's one that we give to every couple under the chuppah when they become married. It's one that we give over and over again because it is God's blessing through human beings to you. And so I ask Rabbi Rachel to join me in saying this bracha, this blessing to you. Indeed, right. So may God continue to bless you and protect you. So may God's light shine on you and show you grace.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
And you're on so may you recognize that God's face is pointing towards you and leading you to a life of finding peace. In fact, we all say Amen. I'd like to invite up your parents to come up onto the bima with us, just to stand next to you for this moment. For all the beautiful things that Neely and Darren do for you, for all the things that your parents do for you, what they teach you and where they drive you and how they lead you to become a mensch, a man in our community. I hope that as you dress like your father, you aspire to be a good person like your parents are. Strong and passionate and kind and moral people. I'm going to invite Lily to come up here and Eli to come up here onto the bima and stand with your parents and with your brother. I want you to find the best in each other through this idea of chavruta, which means sharpening each other, wrestling with each other to find the best truth that you can, to find the exact person that you want to be and to make them into the people that they can be. What about your grandparents to stand right where you are? 4 of your 5 grandparents are here today. And I'm sure you think of them, all 5 of them. No, stand right where you are. You don't have to come up here. You think of them all the time. I hope that they continue from near and far to make you into better people, to make you smarter and kinder, and to just take a moment when you see them and when you can to give them a hug and to hold them close. I want to invite your aunts, uncles, and cousins to stand up where you are. In the back, up here, some are outside, some are online. And these are people who you're going to grow with. And your younger cousins, you're going to teach them how to be a good and kind human being, how to bring holiness into the world. I want to invite your friends, your family friends, your neighbors to stand up where you are. The Hebrew school friends and the day school friends and family friends. Some of these people knew you before you were born, or from when you were a baby. They loved you from before they even knew you. And to think of how you make them better and how they make you better. And people in our community, if you're just here because it's shul and it's Shabbos and you're here because it's an important place to be, if you're here just because you're seeking in some way to stand up. Drew, you've been joining us on Sunday mornings to be part of our community. And while you might take tomorrow off, I hope that you come back in the future and help lead our community. As you do good things. When you look at these people, these are people who are here for you today and into the future. This also represents a very small fraction of the people who do not want to wrestle with you, who do not want to get you angry. Okay, I hope that you take care of them because you are their strength. And we're going to say the words of Shechianu, thanking God for this beautiful moment. Okay, as we say this prayer, Jackson, find some people to hand out this very soft candies to the people around you. So we're done with this prayer. You can softly lob sweetness on this beautiful family. Just know that if you aim at their face, he works out more than like anybody else in this type of Lily. He works out, so be very careful.
We recommend underhand.
Underhand, soft. And if you're in the back, come closer to softly lob at them the candy. We're going to sing the word Shechianu. If you're near people who you know and you like, put your arms around them. Give them a hug as we sing these words.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu
Please remain standing. I know there's a little bit more. We're in the blue cedar on page 354. Page 354, when Drew is done giving hugs to the people he loves so much, he's going to come up here and lead us in a Chatzi Kaddish before going into the Musaf Amidat. You're joining us online on page 184 of that PDF. 354 in this room. Following that, this Chatzi Kaddish, this moment of praise, we're going to go into another Amidah, a prayer. And when you're finished with your personal prayer, with a moment of just trying to connect with a piece of you, then you may once again be seated. But for now, we stand up if you're able to. You can keep standing. Page 354. Drew, take it away. Chatzi Kaddish. Page 357.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Zekonei Hakol, V'zocher V'asei Avot, Umevido Elivnei Bneihem, Lemach Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Avraham Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'Lachanan, Mechayim Atara B'Hoshia, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechayim Meitim B'Rachamim Rabim, Tzomech Noflim B'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Mishenei Afar, Michamocha Ba'Gevurot, Umitomerva, Melech Levit Umechayem, Umatzliach Yeshua, V'leman Atah Chayot Metim, Baruch Atah Adonai. Na'aritzcha v'nakdisha yesod siach savei kodesh ha'makdishim shimcha b'kodesh ha'katuv al yanelicha v'kazet ezer yamar. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzvaot, Melech ha'aretz kodo, Kevodo, Alei olam, Sha'atav shoalim, Ve'elazeh, Ayeneko, Kevodo, Leo
להשמיע לחמד, שהנה כל חי, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ובדברי קודשך כתוב לאמור. ציון, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד קודשך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקיש. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד קודשך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקיש. לשבחך אלוהינו, יפינו לא ימוש ולא יהם, כי המלך גדול, מלך גדול, וקדוש אתה, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, נגיד קודשך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקיש. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Oh, sweet Shalom, Shalom, Birah, we are sweet Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Israel, Ve'al Yoshvei Tevel, Ve'imru. Amen.
you're still davening, if you're still praying, take your time for page 398. Page 398, Kaddish Shalom. Page 400, Ein Elohim, there's nothing, nobody, nothing like God. We invite Billy, Eli, Micah, and Max up here to open up the ark for us. Those who are able, please rise. Page 402, Aleinu.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך בכל הארץ. היום ההוא, היום ההוא, יהיה אדוני
You may be seated. This week, our community notes the yard sites, the anniversaries of the passings of Zabel Averbach, Alfred Levine, Louis Chester, Beatrice Cohen, Erica Feigenbaum, Shirley Neustadt, Sophie Shine, Mildred Stevens, Eugene Wilkoff, Abraham Aaron Appel, Bernard Becker, Grace E. Cohen, Rose Karstad, Pearl Schwartz, Toby Silverstein, Ella Sonkin, Maxine Cohn, Nendra Einstein, Joseph Greenstein, Wally Mickelson, Mark Shear, Rosalia Wolf Schreier, Ernest Solomon, Miriam Spanier, Tilly Zabel, Regina Heim Capel, Charlotte Levine Hammer, Molly Marcus, Terrell Oberman, Leanne Rosenberg, Frida Weinstein, Esther Huntman, Edward Kaufman, Samuel Rosen, Daniel Scott, Stan Tauber, Adolf Tiefenthal, Alfred Glass, Shifra Haran, Penny Meth, Maurice Sachs, David Shapiro, William Smith, and Lillian Wilkoff. And memories be beautiful ones to those who still hold them close. Is there anybody here who wanted to share a memory of who they're saying a yard site for? I think we had a lot of beautiful stories, and I'm sure during the week we'll have more as well. And their memories be really beautiful ones. Kaddish on page 410. If you are in a period of mourning in this first 11 months of mourning the loss of a loved one, or noting the anniversary of a loved one's passing, you're welcome to rise and join with me on page 410 of Kaddish Yatom, the Mourners Kaddish. Yitgadal, Yitkadash, Shanei Rabah, Be'alma, Dibara, Kirute, Be'amlich Malchute, Be'chayechon, U'v'yomechon, U'v'chaye B'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, U'v'zman Kariv, V'imru Amen, Yehi Shemei Rabba Mevorach, Be'olam, Lomei, Omaya, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh, V'yit Hadar, V'yit Alev, V'yit Halal, Shemei, V'kudesha, V'richu, La'ela, Min Kol, Birchata, V'shirata, Tushbachata, V'nechamata, Ta'amiran Be'alma, V'imru Amen, Yehi Shlama, Rava, Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen, Osei Shalom, V'imramav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael, V'imru Amen. May be seated. I want to thank Drew for leading our service today. You did a really beautiful job, not to anybody's surprise, but we're glad that you were able to come up here and with confidence and with poise lead our service. So thank you to your family for raising a nice boy, and also for being here and being part of our community. It means a lot. It's nice, Gidon, it's nice to have you in our community for the last couple of weeks to see you in shul and things like that. The service wouldn't happen without Gideon mining the ether, making sure that we have all the technical things that we need. It wouldn't happen without Mariano bringing us his beautiful music. And so thank you for filling all of our moments with a little bit of piano. Thank you. It wouldn't happen without Rabbi Rachel and our Baal Tefillah, Benny Summerfeld. For helping lead our community. It wouldn't happen without Jeff Solomon teaching our community at the beginning of our service. And for our Torah readers, Drew and Neely and Svi and John and Gilbert. So thank you all very much, but it wouldn't happen without you. There is no service without a minion. There is no service that we can do here without 10 people who are here together to love and to care and to be a community. So thank you to all of you for making this happen. So whether you're online or in person, we appreciate it. Tonight at 8:30, there is a Havdalah, about a 10-minute ceremony where we sing our way out of the holiness of Shabbat into the regularity of a Saturday night and a Sunday and a weekend. I want to thank They can't hear me, I don't think. I want to thank the people, our volunteers, past presidents, board members, and people who just are kind for making the food today in the next room. We'll all in about 3 minutes go into the next room and enjoy bagels and all the rest of it. So so thank you to them for doing that for us. I don't know, one more, so two more things that are coming up in our community that whether or not you're a member of our community, you can come to. Friday night, not next week, although that's a celebration as well, but in 2 weeks, Friday night is our final Shabbat outside, Shabbat under the stars, and it is our special tailgate Shabbat. If you RSVP, we will have food, dinner, and dessert for you. It'll be a more musical service. If you play an instrument and you want to share it with us, do that. We'll have saxophone, piano, guitar, all from one person, let alone from a few other voices as well. And then August 29th, just a little over a month from now, we'll be having our first annual, it's being called Schmoozapalooza. If you want to have a lot of joy in your life, find a 2-year-old and ask them to say Schmoozapalooza. And it'll just be a way to come back as a community leading into high holidays. You'll get a little gift bag filled with all the things you need for the high holidays. So looking forward to celebrating many things with you in the future. Page 412 at our CDO. If you're online, we're on page 211. Adon Olam, a final statement of faith that we feel comfortable in this community and then going out into the world.
Adon Olam, Hashem Alav, B'terem kol Yitzir Yivram, Ve'ein Nasam, Ve'en Sokol, Azai Melech, Shemo Nivra, Ve'acharei, V'chotz Lakol, Ve'adon Inoch Nora, Ve'hu Hayom, Ve'hu Hoven, Ve'hu Yireh, Ve'tifara, Ve'yirchit, Ve'litzachrit, Ve'lo Ha'oz, Ve'ha'nizra, Ve'hu Eli, Ve'chai Boni, Ve'tzur Heli, Ve'etzara, Ve'hu Nisim, U'manusnim, Ve'nafasi, Ve'yom Ve'ra,
One last time, let's all rise. On behalf of all of you, we're going to say Kiddush, this special blessing over grape juice or wine. I'm not sure what was poured in our glasses. And as you walk into the next room, it'll be handed to you so you can then drink. We'll say Motzi up here, a prayer over bread. And when you walk into the next room, you can eat to your heart's content. Page, you're going to follow along on page 14. V'shamu v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat, l'dorotam berit olam, beini uvein v'nei Yisrael ot yirei olam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz, u'vayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash. I'm going to say one line, and then you're going to say L'chaim when I point to you. You've heard it in the musicals before. You know how to do it. Savri. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. See if it's good for one. I think it's it. It's one and you can't drink it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. V'tei avon Shabbat Shalom.